What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P. We're back here once again, and you already know what time it is. It is time to bust that rhyme, talk about some slime, and other stuff that rhymes. Let me make sure that this is doing what it's supposed to do. Okay. All right. We're getting started a little bit late today. I had some major technical difficulties. Major. And I do mean major. But we're here now. So we're going to do what we going to do. So one thing's for certain, three things for sure. When you see me in front of your TV, number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats, none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. Want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And you may be asking yourself, how, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very easy. Simple. I'll tell you. I'm not going to keep it from you. Smash like button, subscribe, share it with your peoples. And once you've done those three things, you've indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. And speaking of your peoples, since sharing is caring, once you've shared this with your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, your fathers, your sisters, you name it, you have indeed cared about those people. We're going to go ahead and get into it today. What up, though, everybody in the chat? What up, though, to the people who are lurking and twerking and working, smirking. But if you're doing too many other things that rhyme with those, I don't want to know. Just keep it to yourself. So what up, though, to the people who are here, and what up, though, to the people who will be here later. Man, I'm a bit off today. Like I said, I had some major technical difficulties. So I just got them straightened out, and I was kind of bugging. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and talk about it, man. We got Dan Skipper returning, returning to the Detroit Lions, not to play. We might need him to play this year. I don't know. He might have to come out of retirement. He might be a player coach. But if you've been sleeping or living under a rock, you probably haven't heard the news. What is this? What the heck? Hold on. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. I told you I'm having all types of difficulties today. This news site that I usually deal with is now forcing us to have accounts. And I didn't know anything about this until right now. So yeah, I wasn't prepared. Alrighty. Okay. So as I said, if you have been living under a rock, you haven't heard the news, so on and so forth. Yeah, Dan Skipper is back with the team as a coach. I speculated about this when we found out that he was going to go into coaching. And he went to the Senior Bowl. So I was like, yeah, he's probably going to return to the Lions as a coach, and now he is. So according to NFLTradeRumors.com, it says, according to Rachel Hopmeyer, the Lions are adding former OL Dan Skipper to their coaching staff for the upcoming season. The veteran lineman retired after this past season due to injuries and wasted no time executing a career pivot. He worked at the Shrine Bowl with the offensive linemen and tight ends. Skipper, 31, originally signed on with the Cowboys as an undrafted free agent out of Arkansas back in 2017. He spent just a few months in Dallas before he was waived and later signed to the Lions practice squad. After a year in Detroit, Skipper had brief stints with the Broncos and Patriots before the Texans signed him to their active roster but waived him in 2019. The Lions quickly claimed him but waived him after a week and re-signed him to their practice squad. He had a brief stint with the Colts before returning to Detroit. Skipper returned to the Lions this past March on a one-year deal, but was cut coming out of the preseason and re-signed to the practice squad. In his career, Skipper appeared in 69 games over 8 years with the Lions and made 16 starts on the offensive line. He caught 2 passes for 13 yards and a touchdown. So this doesn't say exactly what he's going to be doing as a coach. Obviously, something with the offensive line. I mean, that's obvious. He's probably going to be an assistant in some capacity to Hank Fraley. And this is something that we knew was coming. It's not a shock or a surprise at all. Yeah, so that is what that is. And yes, I did finally get a chair. So that's going to be good for us. So obviously, that was what we wanted to start with. We are now going to shift our focus into some offseason moves that the Detroit Lions can make. Let me restart this here. Let me just refresh the page right here because I'm not seeing your chats. All right, we're back. So we want to shift our attention to excuse me. Bear with me, guys. I'm I'm this close to calling it off and just going, just throwing this one in the trash. But we'll keep pushing on. We'll keep pushing on. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. All right. Sorry, I just had to. All right. So we want to turn our attention to some offseason moves that the Detroit Lions could make and maybe even should make. As we know, they do have an uphill battle this offseason, trying to repair this roster, trying to replenish this roster, trying to fill the holes that are in this roster, which have been left by some, there's no other way to say this, but irresponsible drafting. You can't take a wide receiver for 3 third-round picks when you have other holes You can't take a flyer on a guy that was going to be drafted earliest in the 7th round, and Broderick Martin, if he was going to be drafted at all. The Hendon Hooker one wasn't so terrible, but the fact that all these people went after he was picked is crazy. Had he worked out, then ultimately he would have been a backup quarterback. I know he was brought in here the year before, the year of the NFC Championship game. So this was before Goff got his extension, and I believe Goff got his extension after the championship game. So had he worked out, he would have just been a backup quarterback. I don't know if you're picking a backup quarterback over guys like Bryant Young and Kobe Turner and Yahya Diaby and so on and so forth. I don't know if you're doing that. So as I said, while the Hendon Hooker pick wasn't as egregious as Broderick Martin, it wasn't as egregious as Manu, it wasn't as egregious as Isaac Tesla. It's still, you didn't need him. You just didn't need him. So had it worked out, obviously we'd have a backup quarterback. We don't have one of those right now. So it is what it is. All right. So we're going to go ahead and look at these moves because, as I said, it is an offseason where we can't really afford to make mistakes. If we're being honest, if we're trying to get back to Super Bowl contention, this is an offseason where we can't afford to make mistakes. All right. So 3 sneaky good NFL draft agents, free agents, Lions must sign in 2026 offseason. So this is from Clutch Sports. Ben Strauss of Clutch Sports writes this article. And we're going to go over it and we're going to talk about the free agents he wants us to sign. And we'll talk about how realistic it is and what kind of fit they would be for the team. All right, the Detroit Lions will enter the 2026 offseason with a chip on their shoulder. Detroit missed the playoffs in 2025 after finishing the regular season at 9-8. Dan Campbell understands that it is hard to sustain success in the NFL. That should give Lions fans hope that their team will put in a lot of hard work this offseason to improve the team. Dan Campbell understands that it is hard to sustain success in the NFL. So we should be excited because he understands that. Okay. I don't know about that one, but all right. Unfortunately, that will be much easier said than done. Detroit enters the offseason, $8.53 million over the salary cap. General Manager Brad Holmes will have to rework a few contracts and likely make some cuts to give the Lions enough cap space to make some moves this spring. You don't actually have to cut anyone, but who are you cutting? Excuse me. And that's who's your cut candidates? I don't even know who you're cutting. And anybody that we can think about the Detroit Lions needing to cut, they're not going to do it anyway. You're going to cut Derek Barnes? Nobody's going to cut Derek Barnes. Anzo's as good as gone, pretty much. You're not cutting any of your young core. You're not, so I don't know who they're thinking of cutting. There's a lot of people who are not under contract anyway, like Amik Robertson's not under contract. Are you going to cut DJ Reed? Are you going to cut Ennis Rakestraw? I doubt it. I don't think Ennis Rakestraw costs that much against the cap anyway. So, hey, we'll see what happens, I guess. Holmes has not historically spent a lot of cap space during free agency. Instead, he prefers to grow the team's talent through the draft. Cool. But just like I said, we are in this position because there was some negligence on the drafting side of things. But could the Lions make an exception this offseason? Below, we will explore 3 sneaky good free agents who the Lions should pursue during NFL free agency this offseason. Shout out to Lions Syndicate. I know he does not like the term sneaky good, And there are reasons for that. But this isn't from those people. So just, it is what it is. Man. Okay. Could Yetur Gross-Matos, is it Yetur or Yetur Gross-Matos, be Detroit's next Marcus Davenport? That is a terrible. How do you write that in your article as a sub headline? Could Yetur Gross-Matos be Detroit's next Marcus Davenport? Why the hell would we want another Marcus Davenport? That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that someone wrote that. That shows you why the national media is the national media, the Detroit media is the Detroit media. Someone suggesting that we should acquire another form of Marcus Davenport is ridiculously wild. But let's see what they have to say. Maybe they'll say, oh, he's like the size, but he doesn't have the injuries. I don't know. All right, Lions fans may not like the title of this section. Bingo. But hear me out. There's a reason why Detroit has gone back to the Marcus Davenport well multiple times. The Lions want a large physical defensive end who can play opposite of Aiden Hutchinson on early downs, but he can't play because he's not available. So you can't really fulfill that role. That has made Davenport an ideal fit at 6'6", 285 pounds. However, Davenport will turn 30 years old during the 2026 season. His age paired with his extensive injury history should not make him an appealing candidate for Detroit to resign, especially when working on a budget this offseason. Perhaps Yetur Gross-Matos is the next best thing. Gross-Matos has similar size to Davenport, but is a bit smaller at 6'5", 265 pounds. He also shares many of the same strengths as Davenport. The upside is that Gross-Matos will be only 28 years old. It's 2 years. It's not. For the 2026 season. He's also proven to be much more available than Davenport throughout his professional career. Gross-Matos did miss a few months in 2025 after undergoing knee surgery. Okay. We're reading about the next great offensive or defensive lineman for the Detroit Lions. Yetur Gross-Matos. He had a knee injury last season. Brad's probably been on the phone with him for quite some time. All right. He also dealt with some setbacks after returning in late December. Still, all of this pales in comparison to how much time Davenport has missed throughout his career. Ooh, excuse me. Spotrac projects that Gross-Matos could command $3.5 million on a one-year contract this offseason. Not bad at all. I think the Lions should essentially give Davenport's roster spot to Gross-Matos and hope that is an improvement. Personally, I think there's a high chance that Gross-Matos would at worst match what Detroit has been getting from Davenport over the past 2 years. That's crazy. You would think that he would at worst match nothing? Zilch, zero? I don't know how that's a sneaky good move. You said at worst he'll be trash, right? That's what everybody will be at worst. So the Lions could use an offensive lineman like Sean Ryan. Okay, this is number 2. So number 1, the Davenport comparison for me makes me go, yeah, I'm out. I do realize what he's saying. That's for sure. I don't know. I don't even know, bro. I think for 1 year, $3.5 million. Davenport got less than that last year. However, he didn't get most of it. because the incentives hinged on him being healthy, and he wasn't. So, yeah. All right. Sean Ryan. The Lions have made great use out of veteran Graham Glasgow. One of Glasgow's biggest strengths is his ability to play both center and guard. Whew. There's nothing going on in the chat today, huh? All right. However, Glasgow is now 34 years old and did not look great during the 2025 season. What's more, the Lions could save $5.56 million in cap space by cutting Glasgow. Get him out of here. You're out. All right. That makes him a prime cut candidate for Detroit this offseason. Graham Glasgow, thank you for your service. Go ahead. But what if the Lions could replace Glasgow with a younger player? Packers center Sean Ryan could be that player. Okay. Yeah. All right. Ryan has all the tools needed to replace Glasgow on Detroit's O-line. Most importantly, he has potential flexibility or positional flexibility. Sorry. He played most of the 2025 season at center, but stepped in and played significant snaps at right guard in 5 games. Ryan will turn 26 years old early in the 2026 season, which puts him squarely in the prime of his career. Spotrac has Ryan's value at $6.5 million per year. That's cheap. If the Lions could sign him on a 3-year contract worth $20 million, they should jump at the opportunity. This move should not prevent the Lions from finding a long-term answer at center either. You know, I don't hate this move. I feel like this is something more along the lines of what Brad Holmes would do. Get a guy for three years, $20 million, rather than 1 year, $20 million, or 3 years, $20 million per. So I think that's something that we probably could see. I don't know if Sean Ryan wants to leave the Packers and come to the Lions, because if you come to the Lions, it's just on site, right? If you come to the Lions, those Packers games are going to be lit. I've never really seen the offense, not offensive line. I guess you could say I've never really seen an offensive lineman beefing with his entire former NFL team. However, we didn't yet say that that's what they were going to do. But I don't know. Is it something that could happen? Of course, it could happen. Does Sean Ryan want to go to a divisional rival? Who knows? I don't know what kind of words were exchanged over there, which makes him, hit free agency and not get a cheap ass contract like that. Maybe the Packers are going cheaper. Maybe they're robbing Peter to pay Paul as far as the Micah Parsons situation. So who knows exactly? I don't know. Would I be opposed to this move? No. Is it a move that I would like to see? If you don't get someone else in there, if you don't go for a Tyler Linderbaum or, someone of that caliber, then I really would not be opposed to the Sean Ryan move at all. So, all right, let's head to the next move. Nick Cross. Nick Cross would be a big-time addition to Detroit's secondary. Before I read any numbers, yes. Before I read any numbers, yes, 1,000 times yes. And you'll see why in a second. It says if the Lions really want to make a splash, they should make a run at safety at a safety like Nick Cross, because we need at least one, probably two safeties. So this is a no-brainer for me. I say go get it, go do it. Let do it. It's a no-brainer. We have to upgrade, and it's not even upgrading the safety position. We have to get safeties in here who can play games. We cannot rely on Thomas Harper and Daniel Thomas for the entire season. We don't know what's going on with Kirby Joseph's knee. We don't know how much he's going to play this season. We don't know what we think is that Brian Branch is going to be out until the middle of the season or until, November. So we need to have somebody. We need to have somebody in here who can replace some of the production that we lost. So Detroit will immediately need some reinforcements at safety to start the 2026 season. Both Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are coming off of major injuries, which has their availability for week 1 already in question. I'm especially worried about Branch, who tore his Achilles in December. Again, not worried about Branch because the Achilles doesn't often or doesn't always mean a death sentence anymore, but it still has its ability to be a death sentence. With people like Tracy Walker. Okay. Tracy Walker tore his Achilles, never the same again. Got cut, wound up on San Francisco. Don't know if he's still there or still in the league at all. So you would hope we can get that sorted out. All right. Well, I was saying you would hope that Brian Branch comes back, returns to form, and he's not hindered, but it is always a possibility. You saw it in Detroit. You saw it with Tracy Walker. So even in the best case scenario, the Lions will be forced to lean heavily on depth to start the season. We do not want that. Detroit Lions fans, we don't want that. We don't want to hear anything about the vet squad. Hey, man, I believe in these guys, man. Okay, you believing in them is a little bit too much. That's why we put you on what's called the vet squad. Okay, the vet squad is professional practice players. What do? They practice football professionally. That's what the vet squad is. And if anybody rolls out from the vet squad on week 1 in the secondary, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm just telling you right now, I'm gonna be pissed. So if you have the opportunity to get a Nick Cross, if you have the opportunity to get any other safety in here, bring them, because we need them. Even in the best case scenario, the Lions will be forced to lean heavily on depth to start the season. But what if the Lions decided to make a big investment in the position? If Detroit added Cross, he could be a long-term contributor at safety. There's even a world where Cross, Joseph, and Branch can all get on the field at the same time. It's called nickel. It's called nickel. It's not a novel concept. So many people do it. It's just that the Lions don't. We were supposed to be headed to that. And then, if he had to go. So would y'all, put it in the chat. Would y'all be open to a what is it called? I'm trying to think of the word. I can't. Anyway, If Detroit added Cross, he could be a long-term contributor at safety. There's even a world where Cross, Joseph, and Branch can all get on the field at the same time. Cross is an athletic, strong safety who has played well for the Colts over the last 2 seasons. He logged 70-plus tackles in each of the past 2 seasons and made multiple splash plays like sacks and interceptions. Again, scheme fit. Because you're not sending these DBs up the middle and around the corner and so since you've done all that, you know, it's hard to see that he's going to have similar numbers in Detroit. Okay. And this is the thing that I want to talk to you guys about, because look, you're getting a player and you're talking about this player, oh, he can play on the field with Branch and Kirby at the same time. The hell he can't. Right? Why would he be able to do that? He can't do that because we don't have that scheme. So this is why I talk about, you know, this is why I talk about getting people in here that are good. But then once we see that their production is different than when, you know, when it's over here and it's not that good, and then what happened, and he was this, that, and the third thing, and now he's looking sad, and okay, it's a scheme change. All right. I love the idea of Cross filling in for Branch at strong safety, allowing Branch to slide down and play nickel. Detroit could also deploy 3 safety sets if they add Cross, okay? Because you can't do it now. Unfortunately, check this out. He says slide down and play the nickel. Detroit could also deploy 3 safety sets if they add Cross. Unfortunately, 3 safety sets don't fit our scheme. Because if you have a 3 safety set, guess what? You have to pull a linebacker off the field. You've got to pull a linebacker off the field. So I don't know, bro. I'd love to be able to bring him in here and get the best usage out of him as possible. And, you know, that's what they're going to be saying during his, during his visit. They're going to be talking about how things are and how they used to be and how they are. Disregard that one. But the 24-year-old safety, he's 24, is easily the most expensive player on this list. Spotrac estimates that Cross could command $6.1 million per season, putting a potential 4th-year contract in the ballpark of $24.5 million. 4-year contract. Cross is certainly worth the money. Cross is certainly worth the money, which makes the question whether or not Detroit will be able to afford him. $6 million a year, bro. So you said $6 million a year for Nick Cross, an additional $6 million a year for an additional, what is, hold on, let me go back. Sean Ryan was what? So you got 6.1 million. Ryan is 6.5 million. So you're at 12.5 million, a little bit more than 12.5 million. And then you are, let's see. So then up here, Gross Matos was how much? Because you're at you're at 12 million now. 12 point, what did I say? 3, 4? All right. Where's Gross Matos' numbers? Because I think he was about 3.5 million. So with all of that, you're still under 16 million a year with these new guys that you've brought in. I just kind of feel like it's a no-brainer, man. I don't know about the Marcus Davenport dude. What up to everybody in the chat? What up to OK Impressed? Precision Staining. What up, though? He says they're picking up a safety in FA and the draft. Well, they need to do that. They need to do that. And I don't think Nick Cross is expensive. If you're talking about 6-point-something million a year, come on, dude. You know, these are things that people have to do. However, just because people are free agents doesn't mean that they're not going to be retained by their team. So that's the one thing that we have to realize. Maybe upgrade the training staff, LOL. Yeah, maybe. That would hurt. That would help. I like how Seattle used 3 safeties. They're faster than LBs. You know, the crazy thing, Precision Staining. When I was younger, I would say in high school, because that was the last time that you could like really manipulate the roster in Madden. When I was in high school, I used to take safeties because, you know, certain, like you had to change their position. You couldn't put them in certain spots in the depth chart, right? I used to just grab safeties that were on the heavier side, but they're still fast and they're tall. I used to do that and put them as linebackers. This was before the NFL started doing the nickel. This is before they started doing the 3 safety looks. This is before all that. Because it's just common sense. You understand the value. You can do this if you're dominant up front. Because if you got, you know, safeties are different from corners, but a DB is a DB and you don't really want them, you know, taking a lot of hits, giving out a lot of hits because they're less durable. See Terrion Arnold, right? So I would love to see them do it. But again, it's something wrong with us, man. It's something wrong with us. It's like we're afraid of innovation. And it's crazy to say that because Osama bin Johnson used to be our offensive coordinator, and he was very innovative and creative. But on the defense, it's like we fear it, man. We have to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So I don't know. That is what that is. Branch was the best nickel. Yep, until the San Francisco 49ers said, hey, we kept him off the field because we did such and such. And again, that was AG not adjusting. You want to take my best nickel off the field? That's fine. We'll drop him back to safety and we'll you know, slide somebody else in there. You're not going to dictate to me what I'm able to do with my personnel. I'm sorry. That just don't make sense. So what LBs are slow? Or are you saying, so what LBs are slow? Is that what you're saying? Is that a question or a statement? First priority has to be center for me. Yeah, and that's why the Sean Ryan thing again. I didn't hate it. Um, I really don't hate it. If the Packers are going to let him go and test free agency, and we could be the beneficiary of it. I know Spot Track has certain numbers, and the numbers just always seem low to me. Like, oh, this is his salary. Oh, he only makes 75 cents a year. I'm like, bruh, who is doing that work? You know what I mean? Who is doing that work? Don't know. But yeah, that would be priority number one. They picked up a center in free A, Seth McLaughlin. McLaughlin. Oh, hell no, State University. What up, though? Appreciate you for dropping by. Let's see. Yeah, we need to play fast. Yeah, of course we do. Statement about LBs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I used to take them and turn safeties that are on the bigger end, turn them into linebackers because we could utilize their speed, and it made it really hard for you to play defense, or play offense against my defense. So I was just a guy, a kid back then playing. What was it? PlayStation 2, maybe. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Um, what up, though, Mr. Detroit City? Appreciate you. My bad. I had an extraction topside for a night raid. Forgot show was on. That sounds a lot more important. That sounds a lot more important. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All righty. So if you are just coming in, we reviewed three free agents that the Detroit Lions could and probably should target. Yoiter Gross Matos, again, he is in the same vein as Marcus Davenport. Um, let's look at Yoiter Gross Matos' stats. I think it's Yoiter. I think I'm saying his name correctly. Gross Matos stats. Let's see. Yeah, he's Marcus Davenport, all right. He had 0 sacks last year. But he did miss. How many games did he miss? What is this? Nah, this can't be true. You're saying he had 3 tackles and 5 assists? That's crazy. Yeah, I guess he did. 3 tackles, 5 assists, but he played in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games and only had 3 tackles and 5 assists. Maybe that's why his money is so low. All right, let's look at the 2024 season. He's not a big numbers guy, but so for the 2024 season, he had 4 sacks. 2023, he had 4.5. 2022, he had 2.5. 2021, he had 3.5. And 2020, he had 2.5. So he's pretty much in the same range every year. You know, you're going to get 2.5 to 4 sacks out of him. You're not going to get a whole lot of tackle numbers from an edge. But that's what that is. I think for that type of production, you might be able to get him a little bit lower, more so in the 2 something million range rather than the 3.5 million range. That's what I would think. I mean, it's not a whole lot of production. His most sacks, we complain about Marcus Davenport. The most sacks he got was 9 in 11 games. Right? That's the most he got. The most Yetur Gross-Matos has is 4.5. Right? And from that 4.5, how many games did he play? Screw it, I can't see it. All right, let's go over here. Okay. Let's see, going over to ESPN. He had in 2024 or whenever he had those sacks. Let's see. All right. Let's see. 2024. Where's 2024? So in his career, he has 169 total tackles, 81 solos, 88 assisted, 17 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. No interceptions. Yeah, he has no interceptions. He's not like Hutch. He's not like Hutch. Oh, he's not like Hutch. He's not like Hutch. Hashtag if you know, it's the hashtag. Like I said, I mean, I don't hate the signing. He did miss time last season. For you to start off this article by saying that do y'all hear this? Am I the only one? Okay. So somebody's highlight started playing. Somebody's highlight. It was great. I thought it was right after I said they not like Hutch. They're not like Hutch. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Is it AI? Is it listening to me? I know you just moving into a new house, but that fire alarm is gonna have a new battery, right? Is that what that is? Is that what that is? Is that why it's doing that? If that's the case, yeah, I'll just change it. I thought that it might get taken out because I have the noise canceling thing on, but I guess it's not considered background noise, which is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Melvin's kind of guy. A dud. 2024 is after 23, but before 2025, I knew I was looking for the numbers, and I didn't find them. Yes, replace the battery and hold the button for like 3 to 5 seconds. All right, I'll do that. You know what I can do? I can just take the battery out right now. Hold on. All right. Problem solved. Problem solved. No. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Yeah, so I think that the number one signing out of all of that would be probably Sean Ryan if we could get him. But I do believe that that's more along the lines of what Brad is going to be comfortable in doing. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I can't definitively say. I can't definitively say that Sheila is giving Brad Holmes carte blanche. And then Brad Holmes taking this carte blanche and just deciding to be cheap. You know, I can't say that that's happening. So I don't know. I don't know at all. But what I can say is that I know the numbers can work. I know how the numbers can work. I think it's just a choice that's made, you know, about not getting certain people in here. Like we said yesterday, Max Crosby has 30 million guaranteed remaining. 30 million remaining in guaranteed money. So it's not a whole heck of a lot of money. So it is what it is. When you hear one, you replace them all on the spot. All right. Did you hear 97 Hutch get asked who has been the most badass player he's played with? And he said, Brian Branch. Yes. Yes, I did hear that. All right. So you know what time it is. Mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they reading you? Snickers. Mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. Yeah, get your mailbag questions in, man. I'll answer a few, and then I gotta get out of here. Like I said, was having all types of technical difficulties this morning. Was supposed to get out and do some work this morning, but I didn't. I just couldn't because my technical difficulties prevented me from doing that. He said it's pretty wild how loud the sounds are BB32 makes when running up and hitting dudes. Yeah, I saw that one. Thunder, lightning, and the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. So like I said, get your mailbag questions in. I'll take a few and then I shall head on out. Let's see what I did not do. I said I would do it and I didn't. So let me do it now. or let me at least put it up on the screen so that I'll remember. Let's see here. So it's telling me that the SSL certificate is active for the mock drafter or the mockmachine.com. Oh, now it says installing. What? How is that? I don't know. Yeah, okay. I'll have to look at it because it says installing and it doesn't make sense for it to say installing. It's been active. It should have been active for the past, I don't know, 2 weeks when I get done with it. Mailbag, thoughts on Stefon Diggs going clubbing the night of Super Bowl loss? I mean, he ain't on my team, so I'm not mad at it. I'm not, he can do what he wants, It's probably the last time he's going to get the first and the last time he's going to get to the Super Bowl. So mailbag, if you could change one thing, whether it's scheme or personnel wise, that you could change, what would that change be? I don't know if see, both of these things to me go hand in hand. Because with the scheme, like we said, we had Brian Branch down there playing nickel. And then the San Francisco 49ers schemed him out of the game. And then instead of the response that the Lions gave was to let them off the hook and let him out of the game. Instead of just saying, all right, like we'll move him back to safety. And then once he got comfortable at safety, then they could have just been moving him around. They could have been playing a lot of nickel, but they were so confident in Amik Robertson being the nickel and so on and so forth. So I don't know, bro. I would say it's just more philosophy. It's mindset. I don't think it's scheme or personnel because you just got to do different stuff. You can't be trying to do the same thing. You can't be trying to square peg round hole. You can't look at the rest of the league and be like, what these top defenses are doing is working. But I like my guy's thing over here. Pause, So I will be playing with the mock machine this Saturday. Appreciate you. Mailbag, when does Kirk Cousins sign back in Minnesota? Probably soon, I guess. As soon as the Falcons cut him. Yeah, ATL is letting go. One change, fire Melvin. I don't know, man. I think like I said, we just do stuff, man. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We just do stuff. You try to play smash mouth football with an offensive line, which is cheeks. The offensive line is cheeks. Why are you trying to play smash mouth football? You have to make adjustments. So, and why is the offensive line cheeks? Because Brad didn't address it in the draft. But also, whoever he addressed in the draft, Dan Campbell was back there smiling and nodding and slapping him fives and giving him bro hugs and all these other things. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's a catch-22. Mailbag, does Karen Rodgers and Big Mike McCarthy get a studio together downtown Pittsburgh and smoke ayahuasca all off season? I don't know. Is Aaron coming back? I don't know. Heard that the Browns want to bring on Malik Willis. How many QBs does one team need? To be quite honest with you, that would be a good move by the Browns. And they could let some people go. I don't know about, look, remember who the coach of the Browns is, Todd Monken. Okay. Todd Monken just had Lamar Jackson. That's what he wants to do with Malik Willis. Malik Willis has proven capable to win games and to be a competent starter in this league. The Browns have a really good defense. They lost their defensive coordinator. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but they still have the personnel. So I don't know. I don't hate the move for the Browns, man. I really don't. I'm not saying that they're going to do anything, but it's not a bad move. That would be crazy. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and head on out of here. Appreciate you for stopping by. I hope to not have any more technical difficulties tomorrow. But yeah, appreciate you stopping by, bearing with me. Letting me know what that sound was with the fire detector, the smoke alarm. Sorry. Once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your lines news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace.